Okay. I'm Ginger. I am here with Pete M., who is a candidate for the Lansing School Board. Welcome, Pete.
Thank you very much, Ginger. It's an honor.
Pete, what is your motivation for seeking office?
My motivation for seeking office is very simple. It comes right down to it. If you want to change the status quo, you've got to vote. You've got to exercise your right to go and vote. And in my case, for seeking office, it really was a situation where everybody's looking around saying, well, who wants to go? Who wants to do this? And I think that the idea of sometimes, like you're in a formation and everybody says, I need a volunteer, and everybody steps back one and you're left standing there. And that's sort of what I felt like a little bit, but also because when you get charged up about things that you see, the directions that are affecting not only your kids, parents, community members, stakeholders, you can't just sit there and just let it pass. So my motivation is purely to serve my community as I look at this phase of my life and my where I am at. I'm at the peak of my abilities to be able to serve, to do things that probably are going to stretch me, but also at the same time are going to give back. We have uh, a great history here of service, and not only because of retired military, but really when you look at just all of the people who've made our region, our town, Lansing, what it is today. And I've been very, very fortunate to know these people and to look at the pathway that they set. And it sort of comes back to when a torch is passed and who picks up the torch. And so I'm nobody special. I'm just a regular guy that is just trying to go and make my way in the world. But to me, when it comes to what do you want to put your time and investment in, I want to put it into things like the future. And, instead of looking at uh, all the other things that people could be doing, I can't think of anything more important. And I've been kind of a USD 469 junkie, if you will, and watching a lot of the discussions and debates that have been going on in our school district. And because of that, I feel like I've got something to say. And at the same time, people want to be able to connect with people who are going to be accessible to them and are going to be thinking and using reasoning to be able to deal with very, very complex issues. Uh, and so that's sort of like what I do.
Okay, thank you. What's your vision for the Lansing School Board? What do you see as the challenges and the opportunities there?
Oh, great question, Ginger. I will tell you, uh, my first thing always goes back to exercise leadership. In other words, compassionate, uh, contained, and thoughtful leadership. That's the thing that I see the most important role that any type of elected office that we engage in has to be is that you have to have good leadership with competent, caring, committed individuals who are going to be looking at not just the little picture of the day to day, but in fact the bigger picture in terms of a great KASB analogy was being in a fire tower, being on a fire tower out in the wilderness, and that you have people who are looking up and out, and the board has to fulfill its role in doing that. It must do that not only by itself but as part of the community. And so my vision really goes back to something back last year, um, something that had been talked about many, many times before in developing a strategic plan with the community. And I had volunteered to be a part of that process. So we had a meeting, I believe, in September or October, where we outlined many things that a team from Greenbush and a bunch of other folks had come together to kind of pull it and organize. Where do we want to be as a district? And then coming back again later on in January to kind of hammer some things out as groups, as various groups. And to me, I think, what is the purpose of having a board of education if you're not focusing in on the objectives and the goals that you've set out, that you've socialized with the community, and that most importantly are mapping our future? in what kind of a community or what kind of a school district do we want to have and what kind of a community we want to be in. So I want to implement that. I want to be able to go ahead and put that up always as a reminder in every meeting, whatever topic that we're dealing with. How does this relate with our objectives that we're trying to achieve? A great case in point is when you look at the Board of Education's objectives, and they'll talk about, hey, we want to create a $3 million reserve. That was done like in 2020, 2021. And so to me, what's the purpose of having a Board of Education that will not engage in, hey, how are we making progress in these areas? And if one way is not working very well, then we need to try something else. And that type of interaction is what grounds us. And you have to find those North Stars. And we've already done that within the community. And it's not to say that we can't have changes and we can't have turns and we can't have debates and discussions or that conditions change, such as COVID. But the reality is that as a Board of Education member, our responsibility is not to a political party. It's not to uh, it's not to special interests. It's not any of that. You have to check all those things at the door, and you have to look at things from the standpoint of what's best for our students, what's best for our teachers, what's best for our parents, because that is really like the key sets of relationships that we have to make sure that is built. And then most importantly, what is best for our community and how does that nest with our community's overall vision? What do we want to be? I spent some time listening to the city council, and it was one of the things that always impresses me about the city council is how they check their own personal beliefs kind of at the door. I mean, it's still there, but they check them at the door because it's very businesslike. And Mayor McNeil is has really come into his own in terms of his ability to manage not only those meetings and to be able to get that wide group of variety of individuals from all of our wards to be able to converse with one another in a respectful and in what I would consider a very logical, rational way. Without charging every, I like dull meetings. And I think one of the things about it is it's because of the fact is there's no agendas that are at play. And I think that the Board of Education, my goal is to make our meetings dull and shorter and focused. And that the fact of the matter is that people should have confidence in what we're doing, and that we're as board members are not sitting there worrying about what I'm communicating on whatever media platform. I'm just giving you the fact, hey, this is the straight dope in terms of the decisions that we're making and the reasons why we've made it. And what I need my citizens and my parents and my stakeholders to do is to echo those things. And so that people who else needs to know so that we understand why we're paying $340 to go put a kid on a bus within a 2.5 mile radius. That to me is just like, those are the kinds of things that I think a little more conversation might have helped us in terms of making better decisions in terms of who are we focusing in on. So that's a long-winded answer, but it's sort of where my, where my thinking has been.
Okay. Tell us about your record of community involvement.
Oh, I'll be honest, Ginger, I probably have not done as many things as I probably could or should as others have in the past. I teach at the Command and General Staff College. That is not an excuse. It's just very dominant. I'm a doctoral student at the University of St. Mary right now in an EDD program. So it's been eating up a lot of my time. But in the past, I've participated. Obviously, I was a member of the site council over at Lansing Middle School. That was the beginning of my education, actually, in terms of how USD 469 operated. And Carrie Brungart was the principal, so I got a chance to see that up close. I've actually, before I retired from the Army, I actually participated in the Citizens Academy, which was absolutely highly recommend anybody who wants to know more about our city, be a part of that. Go and get in the Citizens Academy, because I will tell you, the best people that we have running our little town, it just amazed me. And the guys in sanitation department, oh my gosh, that was eye-opening. I will tell you that the kinds of things that it gave me was just a different perspective. Other things I'd supported in the past, obviously various charities, things like the cancer relay. Every time Stan Cherry hits me up, that's one of those things. Although I don't get a chance to run in those things, but or walk, the things are very near and dear to me. Deal with that. I've been a Knight of Columbus. I am a Knight of Columbus actually in my church at St. Francis de Sales. And in terms of other bigger things, nope, I couldn't coach sports because we'd have losing teams. I'm really not that guy. I'm probably a little bit more in the realm of wherever people needed the Lance, excuse me, our education foundation has been one of the things that my wife and I have been very big supporters of. She's actually the one that writes all the checks. I just go to the things to support them and give them my 2 cents worth in terms of, hey, these are the great programs that are going on in our schools. Um, We've sponsored international officers ever since our first tour here in 2003. So that's been one of the things, and that's been on and off, but that's been one of the things that I think, to show a little bit of our community, a little bit of America to our guests who are here for a short time. And as well, having been an instructor with staff groups from officers, has always been such a wonderful thing and a wonderful experience. Um, I'm sure I'm missing a whole bunch of other things, but I'm one of those kind of guys that I'll go and sit in on a fire district meeting. I remember when we were big into that and just kind of say, hey, what's going on here? To going to a city council meetings to just be informed, because I'm a firm believer in that. One of the privileges of citizenship is to actually exercise it and to become an informed voter and to be an active part of the discussions where and when you feel you can be. But beyond that, serve where you can serve best where you can serve. And most of my time is actually focused very much on the Command General Staff College. That's my home. That's really my second home, if you will. I teach. I go to many places on behalf of the college to represent us, but also to fulfill our mission in educating the next generation of officer leaders. And basically I'm willing and I'm asking for the opportunity to be able to do that here in Lansing on a much more local and a much more focused level at the on the school board.
Okay. Thank you very much. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Um, yes. So this land, what's this? What is an election in an off year about? What is this election really about? And I think what it's about is like when you see the change that's going on in our society, and you see the track record of just performance as a whole for organizations, and you see kind of like what the frustration points are within our community. What I've come to realize is that you don't need less networks, you need more networks. You don't need less communication, you need more communication. You need to be able to connect in. What happens in the school affects the city. What happens in the city affects our county. It all comes together. And this recent business on revenue neutral and on taxes. I think one of the great things in 2021 was the fact that our legislature had said, hey, let's go ahead and give some visibility to how taxation works in our communities. And I think that's been a wonderful thing. I think that's absolutely a spot on thing. What I think we are missing, kind of the bigger point to it all, though, is how is that making us better? And what I keep coming back to when I say better is how is it making us better in terms of understanding the resources that are being applied to our needs? And that can be whether it's in the city or in the county, or in my case, in looking at it from the schools. And the other piece to it all is politics. And I personally have a great aversion to politics being involved in anything from the city council to the schools. Now, politics is embedded everywhere, and that's a lens that people will take on with it. But when it comes right down to it, what tribe do I want to belong to? And I'll tell you, the only tribe I'm interested in is the tribe that is Lansing, the entire community, whether you have an R or a D. And it hurts my feelings when people say, well, what is he? Is he an R or a D? And this is, why does it matter? And so, my parents were immigrants to this country, right? And we started with nothing pretty much, and yet they were able to educate their kids We're all able to go on and find careers. We're all raising our families. And my dad would have been 90 years old yesterday, and I keep thinking about that guy all the time. What would he say about where we are at today? And to me, what I keep coming right back to is do the work, focus on what's important, listen, worry less about special interests or what representatives say. Focus in on the essential things. Talk to people, and then at the end of the day, deliver. And that's the thing about right now that I see is the biggest issues is I'm not seeing the delivery, and it's across the board. And we need to do better than that, than what we're doing today. And I have no compunctions about speaking hard truths. I have no issues whatsoever about taking criticism. I have no issues whatsoever about standing up for what I believe is correct. I have no issue with being told I'm wrong. What I have an issue with is when we stop listening and we stop talking and we stop caring. And I think that's the part where we've got to move to something better than what we've had. And I don't think that what I've seen over the past couple of years with the direction of the board is adequate. It's not what we are. It is not what we need, and it's certainly not what I want to see just simply go down the way that unfortunately many communities have. And so to me, public education is a centerpiece of democracy, and I am looking to earn everyone's vote out there on November 7th. So that's what I got to say.
Thank you very much.